Senator Madigan.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. The government thinks we may be able to reduce emissions by up to 28% on 2005 levels by 2030. They think this commitment balances Australia's environmental and economic responsibilities. They say we can achieve the target through lower cost abatement while still being able to maintain strong economic and jobs growth. Let's hope so. The Labor Party endorsed the Climate Change Authority's target of 40 to 60% at their national conference recently. The opposition had already flagged its obedience to the wind industry and union-owned super funds when it announced its hypothetical, uncosted, aspirational 50% renewable energy target thought bubble. One of the objectives of the Renewable Energy Act 2000 is to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases in the electricity sector. The RET is already costing electricity consumers in the order of $45 million. The RET is a rising stealth tax on electricity which relies on the premise that electricity created from renewable energy infrastructure will reduce emissions. Are modern-day wind turbines capable of reducing emissions, and if so, at what social, economic and environmental cost? We know all too well the divisive social impact wind farms have on rural communities. The economic benefits of wind turbines flow to offshore, subsidy-hungry wind farm operators. And environmentally, it's not possible to build, operate or maintain a wind turbine without a reliance on fossil fuels. Mr Acting Deputy President, in 2012 the founder of the Greens, Dr James Lovelock, described wind turbines as monuments to a failed society. He said, "I am an environmentalist and founding member of the Greens, but I bow my head in shame at the thought that our original good intentions should have been so misunderstood. We never intended a fundamentalist green movement that rejected all energy sources other than renewables, nor did we expect the Greens to cast aside our priceless ecological heritage because of their failure to understand that the needs of the earth are not separable from human needs." Back in 2004, Mr Acting Deputy President, Dr Lovelock told Australia's 60 Minutes, "At the best, wind power cannot provide more than a tiny fraction of the energy needs of civilisation. It's a nice idea. It looks good. It's showy. I think it's one of those things politicians like because it can be seen that they're doing something. But in practice, it's not really a useful remedy. Those in the chamber who want an emissions target higher than the government's are the same senators who mindlessly advocate for the installation of environmentally destructive fossil fuel-dependent industrial wind turbines. These senators seem happy to burden Australian families, farmers, manufacturers, food processors and businesses with the extra financial pressures that will come with increased emissions reduction costs. They threaten Australia's competitiveness. Perhaps, too, they just want to look good, showy and like they are doing something. Mr Acting Deputy President, why don't those who are howling with selective moral outrage, who want to commit this country to an irresponsibly higher emissions target and potentially put Australia's social and economic prosperity at further risk, do us all a favour? Don't get in a dirty, polluting car to travel to and from the airport. Don't get on a fossil fuel-dependent flight to Canberra when Parliament sits 20 weeks a year. Think of all those emissions you'll be saving. Do your bit to supplement what Senator Seward says is the Abbott government's weak and dangerous carbon pollution reduction targets and stay at home. Lead by example and perform your Senate duties lower emissions style by Skype or teleconference. Make some use of the recklessly expensive NBN. Better still, make sure your computer is only powered by electricity that is created by wind turbines. At least that way we're only likely to hear from you 30% of the time. Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President.
Thank you, Senator Madigan. Order. Order on both sides of the chamber.